Learn something every day on that show. Right,
I know
Don?
it.
That's right. Well, the doctor is in on heart attacks today. A new study finding young women are less likely to recognize and seek emergency care for heart attacks. It's especially troubling because heart disease is the leading cause of death for women under 55 years old. Researchers at the Yale School of Public Health identified common themes among the symptoms of the women they interviewed, including work and family interfering with routine doctor visits. Also, the women were unsure they had actually had a heart attack, so they were reluctant to seek potentially life-saving treatment. This is scary stuff. Joining us now, Dr. Kevin Campbell, practicing cardiologist and assistant professor of medicine at the University of North Carolina. And I want to mention, also just wrote a book on this topic, right, Dr. Campbell? This is a big one for you.
I did.
So this this study was focusing on women between the ages of 30 to 55, and I'm certainly in that age bracket. And I got to tell you, this was news to me that heart disease was such an issue for this particular age group. Why?
You know, what we need to understand is that women of all ages are at risk for heart disease. You know, in the past, heart disease has been thought of as simply a disease of men. And what we know is actually more women than men in the U.S. die of heart disease every single year.
So what did you learn from this study as someone that approaches this topic on a regular basis? What did you learn about why women don't seek the necessary and potentially life-saving help that they need, especially if they're in the midst of a heart attack?
You know, I think that as much as we've done to try to improve awareness and education through Go Red campaigns and things like that throughout February, throughout the last 10 years, we still have far more to do. Women are undertreated and underserved. Women present differently and don't recognize the signs and symptoms of heart attacks, such as in women, it might be anxiety, flu-like symptoms, feelings of dread or fatigue, which are very different than the chest pain that we often think about.
Well, and yes, listing those symptoms and a few others as well. Nausea, for example. The anxiety part in particular, doctor, I mean, if someone's feeling particularly stressed, I don't think that would necessarily cue me to go see a doctor that I could be having heart attack related symptoms. So what's your advice to women about how to approach this?
So the first thing every woman needs to understand is what is her risk for heart disease. Risk factors include diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, family history, smoking, being overweight or obese. These things put you at risk. And if you're having unusual symptoms in the setting of high risk, then you need to take it seriously and you need to be evaluated. That's the #1 message, is women need to engage in their own heart health.
What do you think is the #1 thing or #1 symptom that women tend to ignore?
You know, I think that they ignore the feelings of a flu-like illness or fatigue, because I think that, you know, women certainly, just like you're a superstar on TV, but you're also a superstar mom and spouse. And I think the plurality of roles that women have to be so successful in every aspect of their life puts additional stress on them. And I think that sometimes they forget about their heart health.
I'll put it tempting. A tempting superstar at work, a tempting mom, a tempting spouse, because I think a lot of women can relate to this. You always feel like perhaps you're not fully succeeding on any one of those particular categories. But on that flu-like symptoms that one could be feeling, or a lot of fatigue, Dr. Campbell, would that be something that was very acute for a short period of time, let's say several hours in a day, or is that something I could be feeling potentially over several days, and that's really the warning sign?
You know, I think a lot of these symptoms kind of build up over time. As your risks increase and you develop all these risk factors, you may just notice over time that things aren't right. You know, women can have chest pain and shortness of breath like men, but oftentimes, like we've talked about today, they do present atypically, and you really have to tune into your risk. And that's what my book is all about, is helping women take control of their own heart health.
Something for us all to reference. Dr. Campbell, great to have you. Thank you so much for your expertise on this topic.
Thanks for having me, Jenna. Have a great day.
You too.